Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I'd like to welcome you, dear viewers, to another in our series, In the Light of Islam. And I greet you with Islamic greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace and blessings be on each and every one of you. In this segment of the program, we'll be looking at some questions addressing cricket, which is now quite popular internationally. We'll also be looking at some things concerning dogs and shooting animals. And if time permits, we'll also be looking at some questions from students in grade 6 writing in about musical instruments and friends and friendships, and about art, drawing, painting, etc. We'll begin with our first question concerning football and cricket. Is there a prohibition against watching football or cricket, etc.? Now, watching games, there is basically no prohibition against, sports. However, if the sports, for example, football, involves, or basketball, involves people wearing dresses or clothing which expose parts of their bodies which a Muslim should not be looking at, then it becomes forbidden. In the case of cricket, of course, a person is fully clothed, so cricket is relatively safe. But in the case of some games like volleyball and basketball, where men may wear shorts which expose their thighs, and the Prophet ﷺ had said that a man should not look at the thigh of another man, or a woman look at the thigh of another woman, then for us to watch games in which it involves exposing private parts of the body which for a Muslim we should not be looking at, then it would then become prohibitive or prohibited. Now, if the game that we're watching, say cricket, which we say now is permissible because people are properly clothed, if this game is long and it goes into the period of prayer, and we end up delaying our prayers or missing our prayers because of them, then the game, going to such games, watching such games, will then become prohibited for us. Though the game in and of itself is not prohibited, but if we are so addicted to it that it causes us to miss or delay our prayers seriously, then Islamically it should be avoided. Such games should be restricted, to certain periods of our spare time, where we may, enjoy. This is part of enjoyment. Though it is not the preferable forms, Prophet ﷺ, with regards to sports and things like this, which people may, use their spare time to enjoy, he promoted instead horseback riding, archery, which would be like marksmanship, to go to the rifle range, etc., wrestling, swimming. These are the sports which he promoted, encouraged. He said we should teach our children swimming and archery and horseback riding. These sports which build, they're physically, they build the individual, they build them in the sense of giving them certain skills, which are survival skills. Because swimming, you never know, you may be flying, an airplane crashes, whatever. If you don't know how to swim, you're drowned, you're dead. So it's survival skills. Children should be taught that from they're very young. Small girls, for example, they should be taught that when they're able to learn, where they can go in a public beach and learn. Because of course, once they reach the age of puberty or close to it, then they have to cover themselves up in such a way that it becomes very difficult for them to learn swimming unless you have special women's clubs, etc., where women, are amongst women and they may be taught by women. So it is very good to teach the skill of swimming. Our children should learn this. And, I've seen cases where people have learned it at very, very young ages. Babies who are just crawling, I've seen, instructors who are able to teach such babies how to swim. So of course it's quite skilled instructor, and I wouldn't advise every parent to start throwing their the 2-month-old or 5-month-old children into the water, but I mean it should be done with knowledge. But as a skill, it is something that should be learned. Similarly, archery and riflemanship, etc. This is something which should be learned, because in the case of jihad, where Muslims are under attack, etc., one should have basic skills which may be needed to defend oneself. As Muslims, for example, in Kosovo, in Bosnia, etc., having those skills to be able to fight against those who are seeking to destroy their homes, destroy their society, and destroy Islam, it's a very important skill which both men and women should learn. Sometimes these things have become restricted. We think this is a man's thing. Well, men should go out and fight. Yes, basically, battles, etc. We don't send our women into the front lines of the battles. But at the same time, women should know these basic skills, so that if a need arises, then they can also take up arms. And we know in the times of the Prophet Muhammad, there were some women who fought along with the Prophet, may God's peace and blessing be upon him, in the battles that he fought against the pagans. So these are two very useful and good skills. Horseback riding is also a good skill, and it teaches, in a sense, a closeness to the animal kingdom, to love, to have a caring for animals, etc. And it's also, a good physical exercise. And horses, wherever we go, they play a big role in the countrysides, especially. Of course, in the big cities, you don't really have horses anymore, except in zoos or fairgrounds, etc. But it's a part of going back to nature, to maintain that contact with nature. So to take the children out to farms, etc., where they do have horses, teach them horseback riding, to give them that sense of confidence. It builds character. It's character building. So these are among the recommended sources of entertainment, physical entertainment. Wrestling also, we could say the martial arts included with it, jiu-jitsu and judo and etc. These are good skills which Muslim youths should learn. Adults should learn them if they don't know them. The second question is from Javeed Alam, who's writing from Dubai. Dear Dr. Bilal, I have a question for you. My father has bought a guard dog for our villa. Can I walk the dog and teach it tricks? I like the animal and feel sorry for it. It's tied up all day long, and it's let loose at night. Also, what about the dog licking me? I know it's forbidden. What should I do if it happens? Okay, the question concerning the guard dog. Of course, having a guard dog is permissible in Islam. Having a hunting dog is also permissible, or a dog which rounds up sheep or camels or whatever, an animal dog which helps one in the herding of animals is also permissible. But keeping a dog as a pet, this is not permissible in Islam, that one would turn that dog into a family member, as happens in certain families. People shower their love on the dog becomes a replacement for missing children, etc., etc., or even having children. You have even to the point where people die and leave their whole inheritance to their dogs, even though they have relatives, etc., etc. Islam does not allow this. It prohibits it and discourages the keeping of dogs merely as pets within the home, especially within the home. Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, had said that the angels of mercy don't enter homes in which there are dogs. That is, dogs kept as pets. But now a guard dog, this is among the permitted categories of dogs which a person may obtain. So Javeed is asking, his father has bought this guard dog, and he likes the dog. The dog is tied up all day. Is it permissible for him to walk the dog and teach it tricks? Yes, it's permissible. There's no harm in walking the dog. Of course, it's not good for it to be tied up all day. that it needs a means of exercising itself. So there's no harm in doing that. And he also goes on to ask, what if the dog licks me? He knows it's forbidden. Well, no, it's not forbidden for the dog to lick you. What we have, according to Islamic law, is that if a dog eats or drinks from the vessel, cup or plate or whatever that we're eating, then we should pour out that material into the dog's dish, let him finish eating it. We shouldn't drink or eat from vessels which dogs have just eaten in. And we should clean those vessels out 7 times, one of the times being with clean earth, either the first or the last time should be used. Clean earth should be used. Now, this is the instruction of the Prophet, may God's peace and blessing be upon him, which indicate to us that there is some possible harm which may come from this close type of contact with dogs. And of course, those people who are in the habit of kissing their dogs, I've seen this in my own eyes. It's not uncommon. People kiss their dogs on the mouth. It's something, of course, very despicable in the sight of Muslims, or how Islam would perceive it, because there is particular harm there. And in fact, the medical profession has identified a series of diseases which are passed on by dogs and can be passed on by dogs to humans. At any rate, if a dog licks us, licks our hands or whatever, it is enough for us to just wash off the area where the dog licked. It doesn't break our state of ablution. For example, if we have a state of ablution and the dog licks us, the ablution is not broken. Nor do we have to wash our hand, 7 times using earth one of the times. That is only for vessels from which we eat or drink. Okay? So, in the course of handling dogs, whether you have a hunting dog or, a herding dog, sheep dog, for example, these animals, in the course of dealing with them, they're likely to lick us or whatever, So it is not forbidden for this to take place, and it doesn't break our state of ablution, our state of purification. And we only need to wash it off. Something uncomfortable, you wash it off. Even if you didn't wash it off, it is not identified as being, for example, najasa, although some scholars may hold that it is najis and it's better for you to wash it off. You should wash it off. Just as if you got blood or urine on your clothing or yourself, that you should wash it off. But at worst, it should be washed off. It does not break our state of ablution and is not considered to be